Anyway, yesterday was my first day this year at school, and well, religious biographies might be interesting, but the class on the Middle Ages looks really boring and makes Christianity look really primitive. My teacher is a Buddhist in religious biographies. I have to read a I have to read about Gandhi and Augustine plus Luther. Anyway, it's still pretty dull. I'm seriously considering getting my credential in EH maybe. Anyway, I have something to report that might be interesting. The blonde-haired girl named Chris, who gave me her phone number, is in my religious biographies class. I think this girl likes me because she wanted to know my name and she wanted to look at what my likes and dislikes were. Something the teacher had us write down to see if we were Buddha. The teacher says that Buddhas, real Buddhas, don't want to have anything significant in their life. They try to live in the past and present and not have any likes. They like balance. Anyway, it will be interesting to see what develops with this girl. Over and out. You know who. P.S. A lot of P.S. A lot of jets have been flying over in our house lately. I read Jeremiah 50, and it sounds as though Russia destroys America first, then it's destroyed. If Jeremiah 50:51 is for the 20th century, that is. P.S. I met students I gave my book to, and they didn't say a thing about it. P.P.S. I'm the only student in my class who didn't get his grades back. I wonder why. Maybe Professor Hurst is afraid that I'm another insane religious fanatic after reading my book, and is afraid that I'll kill him if he gives me a B instead of an A. I do think that I deserve a B in Christian theology, even though I struggled so much in it. Over and out. Buddha! I guess it's better dark in here, maybe. A lot better dark in here. It's probably better dark in here. Ladle, 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 I made it out of clay, and when I stop to yadle, well, yadle I shall play. I have a little yadle, I made it out of clay, and when they start to yadle, yadle I shall play. Sunday night, January 9th. Hava Nagila monster, Nagila monster, Nagila monster. Hava Nagila monster, Hava Nagila monster, Hava Nagila monster. Ha ba Nagali Nagila monster, Hava Nagila monster, Hava Nagila monster, Hava Nagila monster, Hava Nagila monster. Sunday night, January 10th, 1988. Yesterday, let's see. Yesterday, Rick came at around 11 a.m., and we went to Mannequin Manor to try out for a music video. I signed up for an audition Wednesday, and Rick signed up for one Thursday. Anyway, Kevin doesn't want me to audition for it because it's an anti-drug video. Kevin feels it will help him and others to feel guilty for taking drugs. He was so concerned and angry that I was considering... he was so concerned and angry that I was considering auditioning for this Just Say No video. Oh, when I was considering for this audition for this Just Say No video, that I think he was on the verge of tears. For some reason, he feels really guilty and thinks Just Say No stuff is propaganda for the beast system. Anyway, he became so paranoid that I do this commercial, or whatever it was, that I said I wouldn't audition for it. Oh well. Anyway, after I auditioned for it, Rick took me to his house for a while, then back to the place where he tried to put together a boring video that he made himself. After that, we and Kevin went to Marysville, where we saw Myron and his family in their house. They took us to Rico's Pizza, then we watched 2 video movies. One was stupid and sleazy, called Nick Danger, Third Eye. which which I had already seen, and the second was A Christmas Story, which was funny. Anyway, all in all, it was a fun time. It was. Over now. You know what. P.S. I have some good news and bad news to report. The good news is that my parents are going to give me a computer. The bad news is that my dad had a serious bout with heart palpitations and had to be hospitalized. Maybe the rapture is going to happen for my dad sooner than he thinks. God, please don't take my dad! Exclamation mark. P.P.S. Ramses have horrible arteries. It would really be depressing if I lost my dad. It's my dad that has made my life and my family's life so interesting. Things would be very depressing and boring without him. I can't really imagine him gone. He'd be a lot happier gone, though, I'm sure. Over and out, Bruce Ramsey. I think he just probably got depressed since no rapture took place and was starting to eat a lot of hamburgers and pizzas and stuff out of depression. And then he paid for it by getting heart palpitations that would go away. Oh well. But a good way to get your rapture is to kill yourself, I think. But then again, if you kill yourself, there's always that horrible realization that you might go to hell. So we don't kill ourselves. It's that dread of something after death. That's what I haven't killed myself. Plus, I don't want to make my parents feel last either. That's what I'm blowing my brains out. Over and out for now. You know what? Yeah. By the way, this is Bruce Ramsey. The date today is the date today is January 28th, 1988. And I'm about to show you some pictures I took of myself 2 years ago. Almost 2 years ago. Well, 2 years this fall, 88. Anyway, I think they're pretty good. But they're with me in my underwear. Without body hair. Just a second here. I wonder if I can do this. coming in very well. Oh well. Anyway, I weighed about 145 in those pictures. That was a long time ago. Well, not too long ago. See, what I was doing at the time, I was making an animation movie where, I take one picture, then say if I gained 5 pounds, to take another picture. But I don't know. They were okay, but I really wouldn't want anybody to see them because they're kind of embarrassing seeing you in your underwear and your jockstrap like that. At least for me. Anyway, January 11th, 1988, Monday night. Believe it or not, I'm seriously considering dropping out of religious studies so I can go to Sac State and get my credential to teach students with dyslexia. Just a minute. The reason why is because it will take forever to get a degree to get my PhD in theology. Plus, when I get when I get it, my chances of getting accepted to teach are still pretty slim. Whereas if I got a teaching credential, I'd be out on my own a lot faster. I think the main reason why I want to make this change isn't because I'm getting tired of theoretical theology views, which is one major reason, but because I really can't stand the idea that I could still be under my parents' care for the next 15 years and still not be able to be out on my own. I don't think I'm going to enjoy teaching dyslexics, but I really don't think I'm going to enjoy teaching theology either, even though I have, even though I may have revolutionary ideas that could make me famous, which I doubt since no one is really interested in theological ideas. only a few brainy mystical eggheads. If I were smarter and loved philosophy, and having theological arguments with others of other religions, something I used to love to do, then I'd stick to it. But for some reason, I'm really getting tired, bored with the whole thing. I think I'd be happier being like the average boring teacher who goes to his depressing 8 to 3 job after all. At least I'd have a job. And at least I'd be out from under my parents' care, and at least maybe I'd be doing something good and worthwhile. I could also move more, whereas as a university teacher, it seems whereas a university teacher seems to get stuck in the same old university from year in, year out. Anyway, I really don't think God wants universal salvation spread around, or more Christians would be preaching it. The fact that I was ignored at school for my book seems like God's little way of telling me that it's always going to be that way. And probably so much so that I won't be famous and will probably not even get a teaching job. The main reason why I don't want to waste 15 years in it is that it's so iffy. And I feel smothered reading about Augustine and Aquinas and what Barth thought about Christ or what Moon thought about him. Plus, I feel like a prisoner in this house. I am a prisoner, even though Grandma loves me and I'm living in comfort. I feel as though I'm living in a boring, depressing prison. I feel trapped and smothered when I see my iffy PhD way out in the distance, plus something that I'm not really too excited about to begin with. Over and out, Mr. Prisoner in a stagnated existence. January 17th, 1988, Sunday, rainy afternoon. Tomorrow I think I'm going to go to Sac State and see if I can pick up. That's all it says. January 18th, January 18th, 88, Monday afternoon. Today I went to Davis to see if I could talk to Professor Hurst. And see what I got in my classes and on my paper. But when I stepped out of the car, I noticed something was wrong because the campus was devoid of students. I then realized it was King's birthday. Anyway, I still went to Sproul Hall where Hurst has his office, but it was closed. I then drove to Sac State to sign up for the CBEST test in the hopes that if I get tired of my boring religious studies major, I'll become a boring dyslexia teacher. Anyway, I can't think of anything really interesting to talk about except, well, my latest Newton novel is turning out interesting now. I'm on the 124th page, and I must say, I think I'm enjoying writing this Newton a lot more than the last Newton novel I wrote. It's a lot more realistic with more down-to-earth problems. So far, from the way it's headed, it will probably be the best fiction book I have ever written yet. It deals with everyday problems, and even though it's on another planet with different circumstances, what's so neat about Newton as a man, the book, is that it's so different from the average Newton book. Anyway, there's a lot of myself in this book, and I don't think this book is going to have a happy ending to it. I'm putting a lot of symbolism in it that I think I can only understand, though. This book is going to be a Newton tragedy, but the book I'm planning on writing after it, Newton versus Callisto, will be a book where Newton gets back what he loses, and then some. Anyway, the girl, Chris, in my religious biographies class, wanted me to take her to see The Last Emperor for our class assignment. She wanted me to she wanted me to take her last night. I called her up Friday night and said, how about tomorrow? She said she was going to hiking, so we might go next week. Anyway, Chris is a pretty girl, but there is another girl in my class who is really pretty. I'd like to ask her out. Instead, well, maybe I can see the movie twice? Question mark. I have some good news to report. Rick's girlfriend, Kathy, is interested in me. Her name is Kathy Mutu. M-U-T-U. Rick called me up and let me talk to her, and I was on the phone with her for a whole hour. She's a graphic artist, and from what I got from listening to her, she sounds like a fun girl. We are thinking of going out next week to see a movie, possibly Good Morning Vietnam. Anyway, Kathy became interested in me when Rick showed her the videos we did together. I sure would like to know what Kathy looks like. I think it was Friday night that I talked to her. Anyway, I have been thinking about it lately, and I have come to the conclusion that getting married and having a family may not be so terrible after all. When I look at where I am and where I'm headed, if I continue to do what I'm doing, that is, I think if a man is creative, he can have an excellent existence while being married. If I can be friends with that shapely beauty in my class, I'll stick to religious studies. If I can't, then I'll look more at Sac State and getting my credential, because here, hey, religious studies is really boring. And worst of all, who cares? Who cares? At least as a dyslexia teacher, I'd be helping students with problems. As a religious teacher, I just might end up screwing up students' faith when they hear me say hell isn't forever, maybe. Who knows? The Bible is so theoretical